Hey guys, it's Kameron Michaels from season 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I am about to show you one of my favorite makeup looks from this season, my rose gold glitterific look, and I'm going to transform myself today from this to this. I keep my boy brows. I might be shaving them soon, stay tuned, but I still cover them, so I'm gonna use a prosthetic adhesive to glue down my brows. So this is a prosthetic adhesive, or like some people call it Prozaid. I just kind of douse my brows in that first. Just get a good coating back and forth so you get under the hairs too. I dance when I perform and I end up sweating a lot. So this ends up holding my brows down so the sweat doesn't pop through my makeup. You just need like an eyebrow comb. And I use the hard side first, just to brush all the hairs straight up. You want to brush them straight up so that you can get the flattest surface to work over. Keep working with it until it becomes tacky, and then the hairs will start to stick straight up. And then once the brows start staying in place, I take the brush side of my comb and kind of flatten it up, just to get them to stick down really, really good. Once those are flattened down and they feel like they are glued in place and they're not going anywhere, I go in with a purple glue stick. So I just want to swipe up and out with the glue stick. I do one layer on each side and let them dry, and then I repeat this about 3 times. So you want to let each layer dry before you move on to the next layer. And once your third layer is dry, I do one more layer and then we'll immediately powder over top of it before it dries. And that is to help set the glue, dry it, and also fill in any little cracks that are left where in between the hairs. The powder will help set it in place and give you a nice smooth texture. So just a powder puff and some translucent powder. When they say beating a mug, that's what they mean. You really want to beat the powder into the brow so that it fills in all the little holes and gaps and you get a nice smooth texture to paint your brows over top of. And then I just take a fan brush and brush away all the extra powder. I have a really full beard when I'm not shaved, so as you can see, you can still see all of my hairs. So I like to conceal that before I go in with my foundation. I'm going to use just a really thick orange cream to put over top of my beard to try to conceal the color before I put on my foundation. You literally just want to take it and put it over top of anywhere that your hair is dark on your face. I also have pretty terrible dark circles, so I just throw this up there too, just to try to conceal a little bit of my dark circle before I put on my foundation. Cool, so once you have concealed the color of your beard, then you can start with your full coverage foundations. All over base first. And I just start along my jaw and right to the corner of my mouth, up my cheekbones. And then I take my all over base up into my forehead as well. So I kind of leave out like this little heart shape right here. I usually use the 2 to 3 shade rule. So I do my base, and then I do a highlighter that is about 2 to 3 shades lighter, and then a contour that's about 2 to 3 shades darker than the base. And I fill in with my lighter color in all the areas that I left behind. Over top of the brows. Cool, so now that I officially look absolutely crazy, I can start blending it all out. And I use a separate sponge for each color so they don't get mixed up. So I start blending out my base first. And then pick up my highlight sponge and I blend in all my highlight color. So I try to blend as I go just to create less work for me later. So I'll just flip over my sponge and kind of blend in the edges of my highlight. So I have done my base, I have done my highlight color. So now I go in with my contour to make sure my face has some depth to it. I just use a stick foundation because it's really easy to put it exactly where I want it. Right under my cheekbones. The corners of my forehead. And then I have a really masculine jawline, so I really like to come up over my jawline and try to create a shadow there to make my jawline look a little bit slimmer. You can make your Adam's apple look a little bit smaller if you bring your contour down to a point right there. And again, totally different sponge for the contour color. I'm just trying to make my face look a little more feminine So I have to bring my contour up a little bit higher, but you may not have to do this part. So if you have a very, very round face, you might actually want to make a hard line to give yourself the illusion that you have high cheekbones. I already have very high cheekbones. I paid a nice little chunk for them, so I don't have to do a lot of work. So I take my contour from right about here to the top of my ear, all the way down to the corner of my mouth. The girls like to make fun of me on set because I am that girl that takes the longest to paint. So this season was very challenging for me because I had to learn to paint very quickly, and I would say that my contouring and my brows take the longest of my whole face, but I'm a professional bitch and I like my to look good. So I like to take my time on my, my face contouring. So I'm gonna leave that alone and just come back with that same base sponge and then blend all my contour into my highlight. This just gives you a nice solid foundation that when the bright lights hit you, you don't look washed out. So I think it's really important to do cream contouring before you do any type of powder contouring. So once I have all of my highlight and cream and contour on my face done, I do my nose now as well. So I kind of start right here where you can see where my brows were. And I just kind of make a little curve line down into my nose. Everyone contours their nose differently, but I like to make mine look a little bit smaller because it's not the smallest nose in the world. So I just make a straight line down where I want the new edges of my new nose to be. And then in order for your nose to look like it's turned up rather than your nose kind of folding down, I contour right in here too, and then on my nostrils. And what that does is it makes it look like your nose is kind of a little more pinched on the ends. Makes it look a little bit smaller towards the tip. So this has a little bitty point and it's so easy to get in here and blend this line out. So I just take my tiny little sponge and start blending out that line. I'm gonna keep contouring like this and then go back in with my highlight and make my nose look smaller. You just want the narrow ridge right there to be as small as possible. And if you contour all the way out, it actually makes your nose look wider, so don't do that. I'll just take a little of my highlight color and go back in along the edge right here. It looks like kind of vampire-y where like I have this, my forehead and my nose are all at one plane. So if you take your little tiny sponge and you take a little of your contour color and you contour right in between your brows and down onto your nose a little bit, it gave me a nice little like dip back right there so that it didn't look like This is how I like to start my face, and so now we will set it with powder. So I use a darker setting powder for the darker colors, and then I use more of a lighter translucent powder to set all of the light spaces and my nose. And then I take my fan brush and just dust off all the extra powder. Cool, so I'm ready to go in with all of my powder contours now that I've done all of my creams. So I like to take this taupe in this rose color and put it on a fluffy brush and just kind of buff it all over my face and just bring in some warm tones. And then I like to pick just a smaller fluffy brush and then do the same thing, take the taupe color and add just a little bit right here into my nose contour. This helps your nose look a little more pinched if you keep the contour right here towards the front. And my trusty fluffy brush, I always take that and it helps blend everything out. Just like my contouring, I like to map out my brows first. So I usually start my brows right at the top of my boy brow. And then just kind of go at an angle and then curve it out and down just a little bit. Again, straight line from the top of my brow up at an angle, and then I curve it down around my brow. I like to take my inner part of my brow and blend it down into that nose contour, and then go in and set the brows. brush off all the excess powder. And now you have a little brow base to work with. The next step on my brows is this, and it is a water activated cream color. I like to go in with that and start filling in my brows, and then you'll see me actually take a small angled brush and angle in some hair strokes right here. I will go in with my brow shadow and fill all of this in. I'm gonna use this color right here, just a medium basic brown, and I'm going to start filling in my brows with that. I'll grab a fluffy brush, just get barely a little bit of product, knock most of it off, and then kind of just brush it up and blend it into the top of the brow. I am going to use my highlight color today. Usually I'm gonna use the Clown White right here and this really thick angled brush just to get a really nice clean line right there under my brow. If you're still with me, wake up! I'm gonna start mapping out my eyes by starting my liner first. So just like I did with the brows, same type of product, water activated liner. I start at the corner of my eye and go up towards my brows. And just create a nice little line right there. I tilt my head up and I start at that line, and you kind of want to create a triangle. And again, this is just a base. I'm gonna go out and blend all this stuff out later, but I like to map things out. I like to give myself some dots to connect. So I go ahead and follow this all the way in as if I were doing eyeliner. After I have kind of set out where I want my liner to be, I start adding in color. For this specific look, I did kind of like a rosy gold bronze. I'm going to start with that rusty color and meet that liner right at the edge and then blend up towards the brow. You know what, let's just save ourselves right now and go ahead and use my highlighting powder and set it in place. So this is just a super white. This is a great way to save yourself from eyeshadow fallout. And highlight here, a little bit right there, and then right there in the center of my forehead. We'll let that cook in while I do my eyes, and then we'll use my angled brush to buff that out later. I like to bring the crease all the way out into my nose contour. So kind of right where the brow is. I like to come down at an angle right there and just take the product that's there and kind of blend it up into my highlight color. Find a little bit of a lighter color just to blend in between my highlight and that rust color. I'm gonna go ahead and create my liner on the bottom and start that shape. I'm going to go in with that same color down here and kind of pull the rust color down into my shadow right there under my pupils. I'm gonna use my highlight color again and try to get a little bit of a lighter color right here in the inner part of my eye. So now that I have my lighter color, my copper color, and my black liner, I'm going to go in with a black powder and blend all of this out and give myself some depth to my eye. So I like my shadow on the corner to extend just a little bit past the corner, outer corner of my eyebrow. So I'm gonna take this smaller little round brush and the black and just create a nice little black line of powder right there to really accentuate crease next to my nose. So I'm gonna take a glitter fix gel and just the end of a brush and apply that all through here. I have this super fun glitter. It's small glitter, medium glitter, all kinds of glitter. And I'm just gonna take a little flat brush. Thinking back, I don't think there was a look that I did not use glitter in. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a little bit more of the Glitter Fix gel and put it right under my eyes because I'm going all over with the glitter. Thank you for our highlight for being the savior, because now we can get rid of all that dark color that fell out. Now that most of my eyeshadow is on, I can start with mascara and lashes. Nothing drives me more crazy than a droopy lash. I figured out a little fun trick to keep the lashes from drooping. You want to apply a pair of small lashes first, touch those and kind of get them to sit at an angle, and then all you have to do, rather than fight with your 301s to get them to sit up, is just take the 301s or whatever big lash you're wearing and set it directly behind the smaller lash, and then you don't ever have to worry about droopy lashes again. So that's what I'm gonna do now. This is 2 pair of 301s. 301s, even though they're big, they're very flimsy. So when you stack 2 together, you get more of a solid base right there. And the more solid the base is, the easier it is for the lash to stick up. I have my smaller lash there, and then it kind of gives a base. I feel like I base everything. So you just set your lash right behind that smaller one. So then I just take a liquid liner and kind of close my eye and go behind the lash. Because nobody wants to see the space between your lash and your lash line. So even if your lash isn't all the way on your lash line, just fill that bitch in with all that black liner so we can't see the space between your lashes and your lash line. So I usually just do mascara on my own lashes. I usually don't wear bottom lashes. All right, so all I have to do now is a little bit of a actual highlighter, some blush, lips, and we're done. So I'm gonna use this super bright blush, but just a little bit of it. My trusty brush, just to buff it out. So I'm just gonna line my lips first. I just feel like it keeps the lipstick inside. And then I used to use a liquid lipstick to fill all that in. I'm gonna use a little bit of my highlight foundation right here in the center of my lips. A little bit of lip gloss. I think this looks good for today. So I'm gonna transition into Kameron, and I'll be right back. So this is my finished look for my rose gold glitterific challenge from the show. I hope you guys learned something from my makeup tips and tricks, and maybe you can go home and work on your face and paint that mug. Be sure to watch out for more videos from me and follow me on all my social media platforms at Kameron Michaels, and I can't wait to show you guys some more fun stuff. Mwah.
Let's bring the house down.
Hey squirrel friend, when one video ends, just open up another one. It's called binge viewing. Go ahead, I support you.